Yeah, because I just, it's like too with people, I feel like that's one of the main problems with society right now is because they're unwilling to accept
Little table in there.
natural law that, okay, we can't, this is how the universe works.
Let's see right here.
We keep trying to circumvent it. No, we can just do it like this. Oh, no, we can just run all over nature. Oh, we can just fix it. Like, we think we can do all these things outside of natural law and not suffer the consequence. Every time we will suffer the consequence because that's just karma. It's just the law of cause and effect. And if we live out of harmony with the laws of the universe, our lives will be in disharmony. And that's all that I, really, that's why I like the word law, because people need to understand that we are not powerful enough we're just part of nature, and this is nature's law. We cannot change the foundational principles and laws of this universe. So we need to find a way to live in harmony with them and embrace them. If we don't, we get what we got now. Period. We can do this forever, but this is what will always happen if you try to say, I'm gonna be more powerful than nature.
Yeah.
You
All
can't.
right. So for the sake of moving forward, and sometimes I gotta be the facilitator.
Okay.
with love and respect, y'all.
Yes.
So Cynthia's proposed revisions are: collectively sustainable village is a living, evolving vision of care, joy, and liberation. We are co-creators rooted in friendship, guided by love for the earth and each other. This love leads us to respect the inherent freedom and sovereignty of the individual and the collective. Our culture transitions us towards spiritual evolution, alignment with truth, self-accountability, and shared abundance. I'll highlight that that's a change right here.
Yes,
This has changed some, right?
yes.
If we go back up, it was our culture transitions us away from oppressive systems towards spiritual alignment and abundance. The first two sentences remain the same, but then the second two sentences change in Cynthia's proposal. Does that make sense?
Would you be able to repeat Cynthia's proposal, the change, please?
Can you see it, Kenesha?
I can't.
You can't see what I'm sharing? Okay.
I'm not able to look right.
Okay. And then also, what's up, y'all? Anybody that's on the live stream, welcome. We're talking about our culture statement, and Cynthia's proposed some revisions to include some language, some natural law language. All right. So you can move me these chairs.
Yeah, no, that's good right here. I'm gonna sit back there.
Okay.
Yeah, we good.
So the first two sentences: collectively sustainable village is a living, evolving vision of care, joy, and liberation. We are co-creators rooted in friendship, guided by love for the earth and each other. That has not changed. All right. What has changed is the next sentence. The old sentence used to say, our culture transitions us away from oppressive systems towards spiritual alignment and shared abundance. The new proposal says, this love leads us to respect the inherent freedom and sovereignty of the individual and the collective. Our culture transitions us towards spiritual evolution, alignment with truth, self-accountability, and shared abundance. So, in a consent-based decision-making fashion, is there anyone who does not consent to that revision? And as a quick reminder, we all have our preferences and then we have our range of tolerance. So when I'm asking you to raise your hand if it doesn't fall within your range of tolerance, even if it isn't your number one choice. Because that's how, when you got a bunch of heads coming together, we're not going to get our number one choice often, but does it fall within our range of tolerance? If you start feeling oppressed, othered, etc., that's when it's like, I don't consent. And also, what are we consenting to? That it feels good enough for now, safe enough to try, because we can always revisit it. And that's how we keep things moving when we have, different minds. So, is there anyone who feels like this revision is not good enough for now, safe enough to try? All right, moving on to the next paragraph. The old one said, we embody peace, protection, and power with regenerating land and life through biomimicry, food sovereignty, and joyful cooperation. And Cynthia's revision for that next sentence says, we embody peace, protection, and power with regenerating land and life through biomimicry, food independence, and wholehearted cooperation.
Girl.
So instead of joyful cooperation, Cynthia exchanged joyful for wholehearted.
I like that.
And instead of food sovereignty, food independence.
Because we already had sovereignty and joy as well in the first paragraph, was another reason why I switched those words.
I do things like that too.
I hate repetitive words.
Okay, so is there anyone who does not consent to those changes by Cynthia?
With wholehearted, joyful cooperation, like to keep the word joy in there, because we had so much discussion around joy, and I love everything she added. I just like, I still want to keep the word joyful in there. Otherwise, I consent.
I was gonna bring that up too. I know that there was a lot of conversation around joy. Cynthia's also saying joy is in the first sentence. So I want to share that with you, Kenesha. It says collectively sustainable village is a living, evolving vision of care, joy, and liberation.
Mm-hmm. That's what she just said. Okay, yeah, I consent.
Anyone else want to say anything about that, or anyone who doesn't consent, or have any questions for clarity? All right, so it sounds like we are all in agreement that we accept Cynthia's proposed revisions. Thank you, Cynthia, for bringing this into a fuller.
I appreciate y'all being receptive. I do. I really appreciate y'all being receptive.
And thank you for being receptive of the feedback around law. And it feels like this is like, it encompasses everyone's needs in this way, so thank you.
I really love the revision, the first paragraph. I just feel more like how, I would like to make words feel more vibrant and have more feeling to it. So I love how it feels like you added more like heart to the first paragraph.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
All right, so the next thing we have to do is we still have to agree, well, I'm sorry, I didn't get around to it yet, just making these into like we have 6 cohesive, either words or short phrases that I think we said we would choose one word and then have like the rest of them underneath of it or something for context. So, we'll get back to that. I'll come up with a proposal to share with you all for that, what that could look like, as a to-do. But the next thing that I would like to discuss is real quick.
Oh, that pasta I made is meant to be hot, y'all.
It tastes good how it is.
Was it good?
For real,
Cold?
yeah.
Okay, because I put a lot of
That's
cheese in it, so I was like, dang, it might not be good cold.
It was okay.
Okay, all right.
Mm-hmm.
You're so funny.
Yeah. Now we're ready for business.
All right, so basically, coming out of the last meeting, what we decided together was that we would work together in phases, right? And we prioritized the phases, and we said that phase 1 would be business model, economics, fundraising. Phase 2 would be framework, legal, blueprint, governance, onboarding. Phase 3, land search, housing, off-grid. Phase 4, outreach, marketing. Phase 5, after launch, culture, space holding, childcare, onboarding, education. That what would happen is, for those of us who are a part of the steward group for each phase, we will work together asynchronously, coming up with our own answers to the various questions within each one, doing some side research and being ready to propose it to the group when we come together like this. Even if you're in a later phase, you can still start working on bringing forward research and proposals, but just know we're not gonna all put our heads together on it until we get to that phase. Right now, the phase 1 is consenting on a business model, economics, fundraising approach, and we have our working group for that, our steward group for that, and we started with some asynchronous communication in the Heartbeat app or in the community, and I asked if we can come here to have some dialogue amongst everybody because we have some differing, I think it's just differing in terms of the way we're saying, but I think ultimately it's kind of the same. But I wanted some space for some dialogue and some deeper understanding so there's no questions. So that's kind of where we are today.
So is that what Ashley sent the other day? Is this in relation to this number one? Cause that was good. I was like, let me get on Chat GPT for mine. I'm like, the ideas were amazing. I was like, this is really good. Very good.
She printed it out. It's all the stuff we already doing.
It's literally,
That's
that's what it's talking about.
Literally verbatim,
Every stuff you're doing.
the stuff we're doing.
Yeah, yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. I'm definitely gonna put it in there for
Where
my
was that? I
assignment.
didn't see it. What are you talking about?
She
Yeah,
put
it's
a
a
shared doc
document.
on her read, and
Oh,
it was good. It was like full of ideas for that. It
Okay.
was really good.
I gotta check it out. So in terms of like holding space for dialogue, y'all, I wanna truly, I wanna first center what dialogue is so we can all kind of put our authentic dialogue hats on, right? And typically the way that I would do that is by taking a look at the rights, responsibilities, and skills for authentic dialogue. I'm pull that up real quick.
I didn't even hear you over there. I get noise complaints, so I wouldn't dare say something. So like, I don't get you up no more, cause I got so many noise complaints about you and I don't get you in no more. I said, well, hey, okay, let me live my life.
All right, y'all, so I'm gonna facilitate this loosely, but the general overview type of energy that we wanna bring into this in terms of the rights, responsibilities, and skills for dialogue are each person has the right to define themselves without being labeled by others. I'm just going through the rights first. Each person has the right to express their beliefs, ideas, and feelings. Each person has the right to ask questions that help them understand what someone else has said. Each person has the right not to change or be coerced to change. Each person has the right to expect that what is said will be held in confidence. Responsibilities. Each person must be willing to seriously question their assumptions about the other or other perspectives. Each person must allow others the same right of self-expression that they expect for themselves. Each person should ask questions that respect the other's rights of self-definition, even in times of conflict or disagreement. Each person must accept the other as equal partners in the dialogue. Each person must agree to hold what others say in confidence. And lastly, the skills. Each person should be able to evaluate and articulate their own attitudes, values, and positions on issues within the context of the dialogue. Each person should learn how to temporarily set aside their own views and feelings in order to be more sensitive to what the other is saying. Each person should learn how to respond to questions in ways that help others understand. Each person should learn to deal with different points of view while maintaining their own integrity. And lastly, each person should learn to deal with others from a position of mutual trust based on an expectation that others come to the dialogue in a spirit of honesty and sincerity. All right. So lastly, I would just ask that we do a good job of listening to understand and, not cutting each other off in ways that someone's done speaking. And also, keep our perspectives relatively short so that, we have time to get everyone in and not say too much so people can hold on to the key points, et cetera. So with that said, y'all, any questions about any of that? All right.
Who brought these donuts?
Shani made them this morning.
Well, she made them?
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna taste one. I was trying to stay away, but if she made them, I'm gonna taste that.
Yeah, she made them this morning.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Is it a powdered sugar one?
Yeah.
I'll take that.
I knew it all. I'm like, who did that?
I'm excited now.
Yeah, We gotta tell them when we're done, because
Oh, really?
Mello and Deani were already raving. Mine was amazing. The chocolate with the sprinkles was amazing. I had, so I'm like, ugh. All right. So again, number one is business model, and how will we make money? How will we raise money? How will we sustain? Were the key questions that were raised, right? And then we got into a conversation on Heartbeat because I proposed the divestor model. Lawrence and Ashley came back with the ecotourism model.
Yeah.
And also Lawrence, one point that sticks out to me is Lawrence said people, planet, profit. And so I wanted to, let's get into it into more depth. I want to ask like follow-up questions, and I would like for y'all to do the same. And I'll say my desire is really to be understood, right? I really want to be understood, because I felt like some of the things that were said, there just wasn't room for like me to follow up with context, etc. Even though we've had this conversation, we all have had this conversation, right? And that actually, I don't see you, but if you're there too, I know you had some things, and hopefully we'll be able to get some clarity and understanding. And I think that the right path is going to emerge. So I guess, y'all okay? Y'all want me to start, or y'all want to start with the tourism? Okay. Okay, so I have had this vision for like this divestment model, for years now. And what I mean by divestment model is this idea that what we're endeavoring to do
Appreciate you.
is walk away from the conventional world as it is, as a solution. And in my mind, when I say a solution, I wasn't thinking about just a solution for us, the people that are walking out and trying to create this self-sustaining, collaborative, sustaining model together and live into this collaborative space together. It's also like a blueprint for others who also want to walk behind us, whether they join a community like that we're actually already in, or they're creating their own, similar to the model that Collective and Sustainable already has, right? I would say that my thinking about it is really radical, and I acknowledge that. And here's the radical pieces of it. The radical pieces of it for me is that I think that it's necessary, or let me say it like this. I think that capitalism as the economic engine that drives this world is harmful to people and the environment at a baseline. I don't think there's any such thing as a conscious way of doing it. I could say there's a more conscious way, or I would say nothing safe but safer. I guess there's a safer way, or I'll give it a more conscious way, but there isn't a way to do capitalism that is in the best interest of nature and human beings. Full stop. It's just not, and from my perspective, and in my opinion. So with that being said, when I think about what we're endeavoring to do, I want to brainstorm and create it in a way where we are thinking about it at every checkpoint of how can this sustain outside of capitalism? Because it's going to be a solution that takes away from the extraction from humans and nature, and allow us to live in more alignment with our natural ways and rhythms, as well as nature's natural ways and rhythms. So with that being said, when I think about what we're doing and how we're going to do it, I think about things like minimalism, zero waste, sharing, resources, sharing our natural gifts with one another in a gifts economy, et cetera, right? That's what we're doing. That's what I look at it like we're always like every quarter, every year, every month, we're like reporting back to the public as well as divestors on, before we were using this much, energy, or this much that, or this much that. Now we're using less because we've learned something. We've become more efficient with this. We've become more efficient with that, because we're always moving towards that goal of being like in alignment with nature's natural circular economy, that the way nature operates outside of humans. So why divestors? So this is where the divestor piece comes in. And when I say divestor, we're divestors because we're divesting our time and energy away from the conventional systems to do what we're doing. But I also look at like financial divestors, meaning you don't invest in something like this, because when you invest, you're looking for a return. When you divest, we're divesting, that means we're walking away. We're divesting our energy from the conventional capitalist model. We're putting our time and energy into things like this that don't make any money. the same ask would be for those people who are abundantly resourced financially to say divest money into helping us get this off the ground without an expectation of a return. So that's when I think of divester. It's like, it's not an investment because you're not getting any financial return on it. It's a divestment. So when I think about a divestment model, the way I thought about it is that we would come together and create this plan, I like to think of it like an unbusiness plan, and make it plain, like all the things that we're coming together with, and we have this document that we're able to, a document here, a slideshow here, that we can go out and start talking to these people who have financial overflow and inviting them into our collectively sustainable family and saying, as a part of one of your roles as a financial divester, because you have a heart and mind like ours, and you also have access resources financially that you can put into this, so that now when we hit the go button, we don't got to worry about money, because we got the, once we write our unbusiness plan, we'll have a number, right? And then we can go to divestors until that number gets met, and then we start building. That's the way I thought about it in my mind, kind of that like startup business model. We go raise the money, and then we start, right? That's the way I've been pitching it, because I believe that I know for a fact that there's people who think like us, who have access to resources. Deirdre, who's been with us, is one of them, who's already committed to being a divester. I have other divestors in my network that I know I can go to wholeheartedly, and I know that they'll divest into this. And then I've also been like collecting companies and people, like you mentioned B Corps before. I've been following B Corps for years. I figure we can not only get money, but we can also get like tools and resources from B Corps and like, you know, products that they create that they would divest to something like this. And I was just talking to someone I know a few days ago, and he was mentioning to me that he knows several wealthy people who are miserable because they have that much money, because they inherited it and it's not in alignment with their values, but yet they're in a tough spot. They don't know what to do with it, so they sit around miserable. So it's like, there's people out there who are looking for us that have the financial resources. So it makes me feel like, you know, we can create a model in a way where we don't have to have a money-making model. So I'll stop there, because that's kind of the heart of what I was proposing. So before y'all go in where y'all want to go in, are there any empathetic questions or clarifying questions that any of y'all have for me?
So are you saying that the people that divest their money into our eco-village are automatically a part of collectively sustainable, or they'll be going in membership?
I haven't gotten that far to the detail of it, but the way I look at it is like it's an invite. You know, we're not just asking you to just give dollars and go sit over there. We're saying be a part of this process with us, the same way Deirdre has been a part of the process. I would love to see that. I'm not saying everyone's going to accept that invitation. Some of them may say, I just want to give, I don't have the capacity, but I do want to divest in this. But what I'm saying is, if we can show them a path, and if they want to roll their sleeves up and jump in with us, that's how I'm thinking that they can.
I'm gonna say rolling up their sleeves, knowing what we do. You know what I mean? That's why I was coming from. Like, they invest money, they become a member, and they still be hands-on with things and put in the sweat equally and things of that nature. So that's
I would love that.
Okay.
I would love that, and I think that's the invite for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the invite. But just so y'all know, I think some of y'all do know, wasn't said, y'all know Deirdre, we've been in community with her for years.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, this wasn't like,
I don't know.
yeah, Kanisha and I have been similar to how we've been organizing, like with a little pod of people over here.
Okay.
I organized with whole other group of
Oh,
people.
okay.
And Deirdre's been a part of that
Gotcha.
circle.
Gotcha.
That little, what do we call them, little tribe, little crew, a micro solidarity crew that we've been organizing around these type of principles with for about 5 years now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'll just say I resonated very highly with what you were saying. I feel like it's so in alignment with natural law and with just working, again, reclaiming.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Because it's, yeah, I think once with capitalism, it just always devolves things. It just naturally devolves
Naturally.
things.
Mhm.
So I like it. I like it a lot, what you were saying.
Any fears or concerns? If there's no clarifying questions, any fears or concerns about the model I'm proposing?
Yeah, we won't have no money
Yeah.
to do what we
I
want to do.
think the biggest fear, not even fear, concern, would be, like, okay, I'm jumping in front. Let me ask for more clarity first, right?
I appreciate that.
Right, I appreciate clarity. Do you have, any kind of a model worked up so that you could really calculate, or we could really calculate divestment X equals community sustainability? Like any kind of metric so that we can kind of test the theory by number as well.
No. And that's what I was hoping that as we're coming together and we're building out what our community is going to be and what it's going to need to sustain, that's the type of things that we're doing together. That's what I was hoping that would happen with our gatherings.
Did the One Network community,
One Community Global,
did they have?
they have concrete numbers, business plans, all there. And I'm definitely leaning heavily on that, but I'm like, when we get to those parts, I was going to point to, okay, we can see what pieces and parts we can pull from theirs.
Yeah.
But they're raising 25 million
Right.
to build, because they're trying to build like a really large,
Seven of them, right?
all at the same time.
Yeah, and I'm like, if we can get, I think that would be the biggest thing for me, just to have some headway, some kind of clarity as far as just numbers, because when I think of divestors in that concept, my mind goes to finite resources, right? So they're divesting. If we're leaving the system and we're all divesting in time and intention, and they're divesting in capital, eventually that capital is going to expire. So how much do we need to get this many communities built, and then how do they sustain after the capital expires? That's kind of where I want to kind of get more footing on, because that way I can wrap my head around it a little bit more logically, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So to answer that, I would say my hope and my proposal to y'all would be, can we start with one community? And can we figure out the numbers for one community that we can go present to divestors and say, if we had this amount of money, this will help us start. And then the way that we're gonna live, we imagine that our costs, as more people come in, that's more muscle, labor, energy, for human labor, energy, as well as creativity, et cetera. We're now experimenting and tinkering with, we may no longer need this, so our price is gonna go down on that. We don't, or et cetera. Or we've already built the structures, so that's the cost that's gonna go away. The way we're producing food, the way we're producing this, that, and the other. Oh, we just got a relationship with this B Corp foundation that creates clothing, so we don't gotta buy that anymore. Like, I'm imagining that that's gonna be a part of what they're divesting in. Not only our labor, but our innovation. The ways that we're gonna be innovating together to figure out how we can get to, when you say when the money runs dry, cool, we don't need it anymore. That's what I feel like is the magic and the innovation part of what we could come together to do that can really put a dent or really leave a mark for truly a path out for folks. And that's what I'm envisioning creating, is a true path out, where they can see year after year, we're not asking for more money, we're asking for less and less and less. And I feel like if we can write that out and we can execute that, and we have some runway, like, look, we need 5 years of runway, and this is how much it's gonna cost. Because in those 5 years, we're experimenting, we're experimenting and we're innovating to bring costs down every year and to bring more people in that are living off the land and off of each other, or in relationship with the land and each other, and it's constantly reducing costs to the point where we can get to zero. That's what I'm like, can we write it up and put our heads together to write that up and make it plain for folks? That's what I'm proposing.
I think, I think it's a lot of, in my head, just roughly, that's kind of where my mind goes anyway. I feel like we're missing a lot of data. But I think the data that I have, I've kind of, not saying I'm throwing it out like the bath water and everything. We can definitely run it, but I think that, I think it's safe enough to try.
Okay.
In real life, because we don't have the numbers, we don't have the data, so we have to go through it to get the data. There's no way to really calculate until we do it. Yeah, so I think, I think it would be worth I think it's definitely radical. I think it's definitely something that would be notable as far as our end goal. yeah, I think it's worth every amount of salt in it.
Can I ask one question about it?
Mhm.
So, like, cause I really liked a lot of the things on Ashley's proposal. So, could we still like do those things and just say, okay, it's free, but we, you know, if you can donate, and just kind of do, because a lot of the things she was saying, you know, that we could do, you know, to generate income are things that I think is just good things to do anyway. You know what I mean? And we could still do them and then just have it be more donation based.
So here's what my reflection or feedback on that would be. Um, the way I'm thinking about it is, when you think about the complexity of human beings actually living collectively in the ways that we're talking about, that takes so much time and energy. Especially when you bring in kids and like raising children in a space like that and all the time and energy that's going to take, and then just navigating our relationships of working together and interpersonal relationships of us working together, that is work. And this is one of the things, actually, I remember when you talked about work, and I said I agree, and I felt like I wanted to give some more clarity on what I meant by like work. Yeah, we are passionate about it, but work in terms of just time and energy, you know, in terms of resolving conflict, in terms of, you know, having meetings to put our heads together just to make decisions on the next step forward is going to take a lot of time and energy, right? And then beyond that, I feel like we are all conditioned to be able to put in 40 to 80 hours a week of work, because that's just been the requirements from surviving capitalism. But what if the energy that we put into organizing and sustaining, I didn't even mention, you know, growing the food, cooking the food, tending to the land, the animals, all that's going to take time. All that effort that goes in just to sustaining our livelihood is going to take time and energy. And I use work as a short for that, right? I don't think we should have to then say, now we got to invite other people in so we can make money by teaching or, you know, any of the ecotourism stuff. We got to host folks, we got to do workshops and stuff. That's extra work that we're built for, but that could also be time for wellness and rest and building in strengthen our interpersonal relationships that I think will add value for the modeling that we're doing for others, to say this is a safe place that people, this what we're creating and what we're living into is the effort that it takes to sustain. And then beyond that, we got more rest, more leisure, more play than conventional society. And I don't think I think that would be a healthy thing too. And the last thing I'll say about that is, one of the things that capitalism does, or let's say what's a little nuanced thing is, the less that we quote unquote work and move around, the less our carbon footprint. People aren't driving places. You know, we're not using up resources to, you know, have to like buy more plates, more cups, more paper to do. It's like the less we do, the greater the impact for society. If you think about like when COVID happened, how people were like, man, people aren't out on the roads, and now you see animals coming back, or waterways becoming clearer because the movement of humans and commerce has slowed or stopped. And it's kind of that in that mindset as well that I wanted to bring forward.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I think collectively sustainable, I'm not gonna say I think, collectively sustainable is built on teaching these sustainable fundamentals and how to be in community. I don't see that, it would feel good for me for that to change. So if I build a community, and I have my micro solidarity community, and we don't invite people in from collectively to sustainable to see how we do authentic dialogue, how we have our sustainable community set up, how we do childcare. Who's doing the childcare? What's our model for childcare? I think that is an injustice to the bigger picture, right? So I don't want to be in a community just for me to feel good. I want to be in a community that can be replicated so that we're shifting the energy of the nation, of everywhere. You know what I'm saying? I want to be in a community where my kids can replicate what we have done, or they can sustain what we have already built on. So I don't see, it is work, right? But this is a gift that was bestowed on to me to share. And I don't see myself stopping to share my gift, and, or especially if my gift can actually help sustain my community, to then just enjoy what we have created. There's going to be some kind of work. Like, I look at Kanisha and I'm just like, you sure you want all these kids? Are you sure? She's like, yeah, give me all the dates. Give me all the dates. Like, I couldn't get them. But I'm sure she had times where she was just like, you know what, I just need time to myself. I need to, rest. And that's okay. Like, there's gonna be times when we need to rest. But to not share what we're gathering with everyone else, I don't feel good about that. So I know that it sounds like what you're saying is like, once we build us up, eventually then we could share it with everyone else. But I think it's important to share every step of the way. I think, things get lost in translation. Sometimes I feel kind of way when people come to our farm and they see everything that's growing and everything that's implemented, and they're like, oh, this is so cool, but they didn't see the work. Because we were working on it and get to, and sometimes people do it. They're like, oh my gosh, I see everything has changed. This is so beautiful, and that's important to share. I want people to see that, we had a very rough property and Lawrence worked too behind off to get it to where it is now. And now other people can enjoy it, and now we can enjoy it. So I don't see anything wrong with that. Personally, I propose that whenever we go with our agribusiness, that we make it a retreat where we're enjoying it every day. So when we have to work, it doesn't feel bad. You get what I'm saying? Like right now, if I feel like I'm just going on vacation, I'm going into a min cabin before I'm going into my RV. Boom, I'm on vacation. So I don't know if I'm explaining it well, but.
I think she can jump in front. I know we didn't get a chance to kind of say our
Oh, actually, sorry, was somebody else saying?
Well, Lawrence was saying, that was kind of like, Ashley's response to me was kind of like with her proposal, is that what you're saying? Like,
yeah,
it was kind of a both and.
yeah.
And so that's fine. I can hold that. I hear everything you said loud and clear, Ashley. In terms of like what you're advocating for us considering around the whole idea of an agribusiness. Can I ask you this, Ashley? Is there anything about my proposal, or maybe you said it, I want to make sure I'm hearing you clearly. Based on my proposal, I guess what your concern is that we're not bringing people along the way with us based on what I've articulated so far. That's your concern, and then you paint the picture for how you would like to bring people along with us. Is that fair?
Yes, pretty much. I just think that everybody's not going to be able to replicate getting money from the investors. You know what I'm saying? So some people really they're gonna be in community, like they're gonna be building we started from the ground up. We're getting to the point where we can get the investors. And then we have to think about economy and money. That's a whole nother subject. But I think we're in a perfect space to get the investors, but a lot of communities that's coming after us are not. So we have to teach them ways to be sustainable, and getting our investors can help build, but it's not sustainable at all. But I agree with using them and helping us, because we already have the model in play. So that's it.
Okay, so I want to respond to that. Thank you. So a couple things that came to mind for me when you said that. Everything you said is, I agree with everything you said in the first, portion of what you shared. And the way I was thinking about that is that we would continue to have a collectively sustainable model, and that we would share everything we're doing. One, we can continue to live stream. That could be public facing for anyone who wants to follow the journey. Even when we're on our land, we got some cameras, different days, we just sharing. That's a part of like the whole outreach, right? But in addition to that, the same way collectively sustainable is already set up, there will continue to be lighthouses and stewardship centers, etc. And as micro solidarity groups start emerging, like ours has emerged, it's like we're knocking on the door of wanting to start our own. Or I'm sorry, before we get there, anyone that's a part of Collectively Sustainable, in my mind, they're welcome. It's like we can always, like you said, retreat, just come and model, just come be with us, roll your sleeves up, like learn by doing. We can have like immersive visitors. What I was saying was what I was proposing against was a business model where we're charging outside people, whether they be in Collectively Sustainable or elsewhere, as a way to generate money. That's what I was trying to say. Can we try the other way first of finding a divestor so we don't have to rely on outside people who are curious or interested in this type of thing, whether they're outside of Collectively Sustainable or not, to have to come and pay us money for us to sustain. That's what I wanted to try to go against. I'm totally okay with Collectively Sustainable members being a part of, coming to see, rolling their sleeves up with us, being immersed, and being on that same trajectory. And us continue to have Collectively Sustainable the way it is now. And it's always that, that next level up that people are moving through and learning back the basics. And I see all that continuing. And then the next thing I'll say, I want to say that, Ashley, and then about the idea that, divestors is like, everyone doesn't have divestors. I believe that the way that I personally would approach divestors is, and I'm saying me, but I think there's other people who may have a similar energy, that outreach energy around going to get money the way that I have it, is that we're talking to them about Collectively Sustainable. We're talking to them about the stewardship centers and the lighthouses and the stewards and the app. And we're talking about investing in a whole ecosystem. So there's so much money out there, y'all. Like, full stop. People throw away millions of dollars every day. There's a whole nother world out there. I work for a family. This is kind of giving me even more insight, whose great-great-great-grandfather started a business in like 1911, and all the descendants as a family are now managing the returns of all of that. And I've been working with that family for the last 2 to 3 years. And when they sold the company, they were doing like, let's just say they sold the company probably for like billions of dollars. And now all the descendants, it got dispersed through them and they're just wealthy. And I'm sitting in meetings with them doing alternate dialogue about how it's stressful to them that they have all this money and how they don't fit in with society. And they have to hide their true identity, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I say that to say, and there's one of the family members who's like, give it all away, divest it all. And they go back and forth about all these things. I'm in a relationship with those people. That's one of my little insight groups of people that I hear things. And I'm like, there's so much money out there that people don't even know what to do with. And we can go get it. That's how I feel. Not just our community, but Collectively Sustainable as a whole. And I guess what I'm asking for the group is like, can we try it, right? And if we get to a point where it's like, there's not enough money coming in, or there's not enough divestment energy and et cetera, then it's like we could always fall back on the ecotourism business model. But I'm like, I would love to say, with our planning meetings, we write up the plan, make it plain, crunch all the numbers, get it all, take it to these various divestors and receive it. See if we're getting any energy in the direction of what I'm proposing and what I'm believing and envisioning that we can do.
Can I add on to that? So within my range of tolerance is the divestment concept. But outside, it's like, I think we need to have ecotourism for Collectively Sustainable, which basically help mold it off ecotourism. Like for people coming out to the farms and learning the concepts, and for Collectively Sustainable to be successful, we need more people
I'm sorry, y'all. I can't hear you, Mello, and I really want to hear you.
Okay. So basically I was saying what's in my range of tolerance is the divestment model. But what's outside of my range of tolerance is us cutting out ecotourism. Because I feel that ecotourism helped Collectively Sustainable get this momentum. And I think it's needed for Collectively Sustainable to carry on its mission. So I think there is space for both, the divestment model and still having the ecotourism. It's pretty much like yin and yang. You could kind of get those to work together. That's what I'm thinking. But I think we still, back to the basics, what the seals have already been doing to get collectively sustainable there, that still needed to be, what you call it, implemented.
I
So,
want to definitely hit my position too, just.
okay, I'm done, but that's what I stand on. Like I said, I agree with what you're saying, but we could still marry the two together.
Yeah, and you're talking about because a few moments ago, I did say back to basics, all that stuff is needed. You're saying from a money making, you wanted to make money.
Yeah, so that way, the mission could be sustainable and the finances could be sustainable as well. So I think
Are you saying that you don't believe, when you say finances can be sustainable, are you saying because you don't believe we can get enough money from divestors that we would need finances from ecotourism?
I think we could use both of them. And then even if we could get the money from both of them to expand, to help other communities as well. So I think both of them could be used for that investment model. And, because we still gonna have, in a sense, for lack of a better term, it's capital, because we're receiving money, but at the same time, we still need to be sustainable. You know what I mean? I view money as tools or resources to get other resources. I believe we still have to have that engine to gather more resources to help more people. You see what I'm saying?
I do. And I guess I think that's the perfect point for me to make my last point, and then I'll let y'all really go in on y'all point. But I want to make it to that point. I'm glad you said it that way.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll be able to ask questions when y'all say stuff too. But my last point is, I think that we're all dreaming about a post-capitalist future. And at what point are we going to draw that line in the sand and say, yes, we are post-capitalist? That's the last thing I'll say, is because whenever you say, I accept that when you say we have to make money to be sustainable, you're not there. And that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I want to get clarity on. Is like, I just got to know, y'all just aren't there and I got to accept that? Or do y'all truly want to be, or is there anyone here that truly wants to live post-capitalist?
Can I expand on what I mean by, me personally, I feel that capitalism is a mind state. If you're getting money to do good for other people and to help out other people, I don't believe that's like the capitalism that we're trying to escape from. I think the capitalism we're trying to escape for is taking advantage of people. If we use this money as resources to help the people and to learn these ways of life and learn how to sustain, we could eventually move away from money, but I think the biggest thing with capitalism is really a state of mind. Because when you're playing a game with somebody, you're trying to capitalize off what they're doing, but it's to help them get better, in a sense. So it really just depends on how you view capitalism. So I think that's something we have to really.
Even economics.
Yeah.
That faction.
Yeah.
So I think I need to start saying, to be clear on my point, is post-extraction. Because when you talk about, we're using capitalism, but I'm using capitalism as a generalist word for the activities that it takes to get dollars and cents. You're either extracting, in most instances, we're over-extracting from nature in terms of natural resources, or we're extracting from human labor to get that said dollars to then pay for X thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it goes deeper in terms of what capitalism is an engine for, when literally no other species on this earth needs to over-extract to get their basic needs met. The humans have created this mechanism where there's now like industries and jobs and all these things where people are taking from the earth to create jobs. But really what you're doing is you're over-extracting from the earth to consume. You're promoting consumerism, you're promoting hustle culture, and all these things that, again, hurt the environment and hurt humans in order to have these dollars. Mm-hmm. So if we're recipients of said dollars, we're participating in that extraction. And it goes, I can tie it to, how it impacts the global south, because they're typically the places like they're tearing down the Amazon to build,
but I think that's
et cetera. I can go far.
So
but
could you link that to collectively sustainable in that vision of agritourism and education? Because in fact, that would be the top end of what you're saying. It'd be flipping capitalism in that framework on its head, because not only are you pouring money into a system, it's a system that's teaching other people how to be stewards. Mm-hmm. And this is the biggest gap that we have right now. It's a lot of people who consume without understanding, right? Consume without consciousness. And we're saying this is the way we can sustain ourselves in an ethical way while being a lighthouse for people to come learn how to do what we do. And if they say even swap ain't no swindle, right? So unethical capitalism is what I always say we're getting away from. Capitalism is simply a form of trade. And even before capitalism, it was fish for bread. It was grain for sugar. Even animals are mutual components of that endeavor as well. It's animals that sit on the back of the rhino, birds that, right? So that's nature. Biodiversity is nature. We can break it down because they all fundamentally pour into the same ecosystem, but they all have to pour in as much as they can to sustain each other. So it's the same concept. It's always a trade in nature. The plants don't even eat until they exchange the sugar with the microorganism. That's their trade. So the synthesizing is not for the plant, it's to feed the microbes in the soil. We have to have trade to have order. Trade is already naturally on us, right? And even with equality, we can't have trade. Well, I'm gonna say that's what we're aiming for is an equal trade. And that's where capitalism has framework to where I can sell you an apple and I'm not gonna go around and sell the same apple to somebody else for a different price. So that's like more like moral compass within capitalism, but the framework is still there. It's honest, it's true. It's to say this apple is worth this to the consensus of the community. And you can't go over it just because you feel like it. We're holding you to this cultural standard. So if I could segue into the proposition that I got dressed up for it. So I believe, and like I know you like to say both and now lately, both and. And I'm like, we can definitely do it. I think the thing that I want to nail down is impact, right? We're looking for impact now. I want to change lives now. I don't want to wait until we get the money because we figured out the rhythm is doing what we're doing now. Without the money, a lot of us are already bartering our skills and our services. We're living in the dimension that we're calling for. We can bring people in, they can see it. And it's still, we're overstepping capitalism that way. But what if we could extract some funds and where we could at least, make our mortgage or things like that? That's righteous in my point. And again, it's like we're multiplying our culture every time we do it. If we can get a divestment to come in, and this is kind of where the divestment comes in for me, I see a divestment being more impactful to build more stewardship centers because we know that the community doesn't have to be geographically tied to one piece of land. We all live in different spaces. But if we all seek to be collectively sustainable and offer what we have, we're still impacting the culture in a terrific way. And I think again with divestment in that capacity, before we run out and go grab acreage and build micro cabins and show this fully sustainable geo-specific location, I feel like the impact can be measured in a more abundant way if we just broke it apart and dished it out across the nation and showed our culture. And I think with that cultural shift, that's really what we're aiming for, is a cultural shift. And I think everything else will fall in line after we get our minds right. But I don't think capitalism in a nutshell is the enemy. I think the system that we're in is the enemy, and we're showing a different way to utilize the system and still build a parallel economy and a system at the same time. And again, I think it can go nationwide, it can go worldwide with no money. We tell people you can do it right now with the bills you already pay. You start to, collaborate with other folks. And I ain't gonna bore y'all to tears with the talk because y'all already
Yeah, we know. Can I ask you a clarifying question? So, what are you saying? Like what you're saying to me, it sounds like you're talking about collectively sustainable as it is and as it's operating, the model that's in play.
Mm-hmm.
Is that accurate? That what you were just saying in terms of the global impact, dispersing? Am I correct in that's what's already been happening? That's what's already in motion
Without waiting for divestment.
without waiting for that. That's been in motion, right?
Without waiting for divestment.
Right.
Yeah.
So, can you share how, in the context of village planning, how that lines up? Because what I'm thinking about is, is the location, is the living into something collectively together outside of, collectively sustainable, still sustaining and doing what it's already doing. So how do you see that connected to this conversation?
So it's the same framework. So the stewardship center construct,
Mhm.
that would be the edifice of what I'm talking about. So that is our mechanism that can make a unit sustainable. So right now we're operating as a stewardship center and it's multiple moving parts. But this is kind of like the pre-game before the real game. I believe that we have to again nail down a cultural edifice before we get the land as the mecca, the end game, because once we get the land, it's still a lot more to go. It's still a lot more work to be done. And I'm like, right now, the stewardship center and its components functioning as everybody adding in the value to make it sustainable, this can be dropped into a village, but the village can't build itself without having that first. So that's still a true to life concept. The stewardship center fundamentally sustaining itself on agritourism and education. And I say people, planet, profit. Agritourism and education, everybody's looking shifty-eyed at the food system right now. Economy is looking crazy. So I wouldn't even build our vision based on somebody divesting, because the dollar today might very well not be the dollar 2 years from now, 2 months from now. It can tank direct. We're already in hyperinflation. So that money might not get as much. It can quantify, I mean, it can look good, but it might not translate the same. Planet, again, we're teaching. So we're getting funds, we're extracting these funds from divestors or investors. Either way, we can look at it both ways. Some people come to things and they already know how to make it. Some people come because they're learning. Some people just want to support. Some people are paying for a service. And again, I think that that's one of those things, the mechanism to make things sustainable is supply and demand. And I think right now we're at a huge demand for people to learn how to work the land and be sustainable. Why not the stewards and the people who really have great intentions with pouring back into the earth and co-creating and reducing carbon footprints? Why not fund these people and give them a leg up to kind of sustain themselves while pouring into their community and kind of transmuting the energy of the culture that we're. So I just think that part is still essential because we're building it right now with nothing. And if we shift it from that, when we get a piece of property, it doesn't really make much sense with that divestment model being the centerpiece. This agritourism model is showing that it's tried and true and it has numbers behind it. And I just feel like that's a more intentional way to step forward into calling something in new by like actually having the footstep. And I'm saying we're doing this now. We can still add in the divestment model while we calculate the numbers as we're still building. So the only thing I'm saying is we're not doing divestment and then the agritourism stuff as a backup. No, we're already here. The divestment is something that we can peek into to see if it's safe enough to try and gather details and data. But the economic model that we present right now as collectively sustainable today works and it's impactful.
I'll be interested to hear what anybody else has to say, like how y'all are interpreting what we're both saying and any connection points.
I think I think they can go together. I think it's a very cohesive thing. I don't think we have to choose.
Right.
I think we can bring both of these things together and it will work
Exactly.
really well.
I think is it a matter of us figuring out how we can bring those together? I think that's what we may need to kind of
Figure out, right.
That's the clear
Yes.
Clarity on.
And I do
Yes.
have a proposal for that, but maybe a little radical,
Can I
but
clarify? It's
Yes.
kind of hard for me. I can't really.
You can't hear?
No, it's just I've tried to say something like for a long time, and so I'm like, let me just say, can I say something?
Thank you, because you know, well, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so I was just trying to get clarification on what I'm hearing. So I'm hearing that it does sound like people are okay with both ends, and I'm hearing that it sounds like people are okay with like the divestment idea that Sanjana is presenting, and post-capitalism, but that the collectively sustainable model is the model that is essential right now for the groundwork and for the healing and the wellness and the learning that needs to take place in order for us to become collectively sustainable. And I'm trying to clarify if I hear a transition point into the post-capitalist model that I hear Sanjana mentioning. Like, do I hear a transition point that you feel like the both and could be now? And then transitioning to post-capitalism, like if, that works. Um, and then eventually, like, if there's a need for more income, then we still use like the collectively sustainable model. But if we can completely get away from money and extracting from the earth and from human labor, that everybody would be okay with transitioning from needing money as a resource. But for now and during the transition, that everybody's feeling the need to do both. I was trying to clarify if that's what I was hearing.
Yes, yes. We're definitely straddling the two dimensions, and I think we would be almost like how you refer to in your walkout method. I think we would be the bridge. Culturally, we're still here and available, but we're showing y'all the culture of this new place. And again, I think it's gonna be stronger when we have more people, more people.
So I guess I heard both of y'all kind of advocate for like there are some positives in capitalism. Are you saying that you said conscious capitalism and you heard me say I don't think there is one.
Mhm.
So are you saying that there is a direct ask is can you see a post-capitalist reality? Can you see us living into a model that is post-capitalist? Or are you saying I think there will always be a need for some form of capitalism? I would like a direct answer to that.
I feel like there were okay, I'm not gonna say capitalism, right? I don't know if that could be a different word, right? We play the word game a lot.
Yeah, like
trade.
money.
Trade. I'm gonna say that there's gonna always be a direct need for trade because nature says so. And if we're using biomimicry as a part of our edifice, I'm gonna follow what nature does.
So, okay.
Do you feel the direct need for trade will always have to include money?
Capital, yeah.
No, that's what I'm saying. We're doing it right now. So we're living the model that you're proposing literally right now for our programs. We don't accept money from our presenters. They get to rent the space for free in exchange of doing a class for us. So we're exchanging already with no money. Some people are making breads and things and coming to get classes, or we're already doing it. But that's a valued system. Somebody approached me and asked me, could I do something for 10 okra plants? I declined. I don't eat okra. It has no value in my home, right? So I still need a value system in place, right? And what if I say, hey, this class is worth this many tomato plants, but since I don't like okra, you gotta give me 100 of them. That's not right. But the value isn't in place. So that's what the framework that I'm speaking of when I mean trade.
Right, and I think it's like, again, we're conflating different words.
Mm-hmm.
Because for me, I think you're saying what I'm saying, you're just saying it in a different way. Because to me, that's not capitalism.
Yeah, it's not.
That's not capitalism
Right.
at all, what
Yeah.
you just said.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And it is a form of trade and value exchange. And it's a form of, no, it's not a gifts economy. It's more barter. It's a barter thing, right? So you have the exchange of capital, dollars and cents. You have barter where we're exchanging for like what's equal value. Then you have the gifts economy.
Mm-hmm.
The gifts economy is more based on if I do something for you now, I trust that it will come in for return to me from someone else within our network of in gifts.
Yes.
Like, so it's different, right? So what I hear you saying, Lawrence, is that you're speaking more of the barter trade world. And what I'm asking and what I'm proposing is that we use divestment dollars to give us the space to live into the gifts economy, where it's like, I know that if I breathe out this carbon dioxide, it's gonna feed some plant. I don't know which one, but some plant's gonna get some food for photosynthesis. And I know some plant's gonna put out some oxygen that I'm gonna receive, and I don't know who to say thank you to, I don't know what, but it's happening without me thinking. And I believe that if you get enough humans together in community, just the way that we wake up and want to do life is going to automatically meet the needs of each other. Because some of us love to cook, and some of us love to play in the dirt and grow things, and some of us love to facilitate, and some of us love to resolve conflict, and some of us love to build and fix. And I'm not keeping score because you might cook a meal one day, and I'm like, yo, I love it. I'm not saying you're a cook, I'm not trying to gender it.
I do like
You know,
food.
I love
food.
it.
I love food.
So you might cook something one day, right?
Right.
And I'm like, that was so good, that was so amazing. And the next day, you know, you might, somebody might build you a garden box that you need over there. That's kind of like, you're getting reciprocation for the time and energy you put over here for planning these beautiful meals, these wonderful, delicious, and nutrient-giving meals, but your needs are being met around fixing things or garden boxes or whatever over there. It's not a direct one-to-one. What you're talking about is direct one-to-one.
Qualification.
Right. So nature, the way nature works is in the gifts economy. Everything that's happening out there is in the gift. But again, you know, I just wanted to bring clarity to how we're talking about these things. And everything you said about the nutrient thing, that's in the gifts economy. Everything you mentioned about basically mutualism, you know, and symbiosis, all that happens in the gift. It's a natural way of being, needs get met, etc.
Yeah.
So I understand. And I think what I hear you saying also is collectively sustainable with the current economic model that's in place, you know, needs to continue to be the forefront of what's going on. I think I also hear you, which I think, did y'all hear me say that I think that that's the case? I want to make sure that's not something y'all feel like I'm saying, it doesn't need to be the case.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I think also what I'm hearing is like, yes, we're willing to, or you're saying, I'm willing to build this unbusiness model, make it plain, and see what we can go out and get from a divestment standpoint to build a geolocation as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I'm merely saying that we have a huge advantage over somebody else replicating. We've literally been working for years together. And I'm like, it's easy for us to say it because we've laid a lot of the foundation. But we're doing the work trying to get people set up in other cities and other states, and it's harder for them to replicate because they can't see it yet. So that divestment model, I just feel like it'll be a little heavy for somebody to really functionally propose and execute. We literally saw the backtracking happen from the 87 acres and really understanding that the land isn't the goal, it's the mentality of the people. Getting more people with the same mentality, you can build that paradise, that functioning element anywhere.
I agree.
But I think that's gonna be where we really have our journey. Like that's what we should dump all of our funds and intention into, is creating framework spaces where people can come in and filter out of the system. And then we can move into a gifts economy because everybody will understand the value of native gifts because we're filtering them through here and we're affirming it. A lot of people want to keep kids. We say, yeah, come on, bring your child here for our paid program. And in exchange, you're going to take our kids to the skating rink. We're doing it already. I cut somebody's yard and raked his leaves and he cooked a slab of ribs. It's already happening without even asking. So it's the real gifts economy. But I think for the most part, a lot of our societal norm is not prepared for the gifts economy. And we think more in numbers. And I think just having something framed up for people that's a little bit more tangible, that they can touch and feel and understand, can lead them into that process a little bit easier, at least while we kind of recondition ourselves as far as a system.
So I guess my confusion is on listening. It feels like there's still something where I'll say you because you're talking now, like you're even leading up to now, and now it's like, I don't know, it feels like there's a how can I say it? Something's missing in terms of like, there's like a defense, you're defending that against what I'm saying, and I don't understand why.
Well, okay. So our model is intended to be replicable. So I don't want to take somebody into the gym and show them that I bench 500 pounds and tell them, hey, come on, do it too. I'd rather work with them up. And I feel like buying a property of 100 acres, whatever we need, and building these cabins and doing all the things, putting it based off somebody else's money, and then saying, hey, look what we did. I just feel like it's not as accomplishable for somebody else who's not in the same position. who has been building a community for years. We're trying to impose on somebody who just wakes up tomorrow and says, this is the movement, and I can fit in here and do this now.
That's what I think that's the rub right there.
Uh-huh.
That's the rub, and I think that's what you were saying too, Ashley, in your messaging in the group as well, and some of what you were saying today. I think that's the rub. That's the part that I think feels the most uncomfortable for y'all.
Mm-hmm.
Is this like, it feels like a privilege that Sunjata saying he can go out and attract money because he has relationships and everybody can't do that. That's what I feel like I think I'm hearing.
No, incorrect. I'm speaking
And
more.
it's not duplicatable.
Yeah,
You feel like
that
it's not
too.
duplicatable.
That too, but also our internal community. I mean, that's the strongest resource we have. Before the money, it's still the people.
Okay, I hear you. Yeah. I hear you, Lauren. It's, because that's been my whole pushback. While I fully agree with the divestment idea, and I fully believe that one day it will be fully funded and we won't have to like immerse in hustle culture. And I feel like we need wellness now, and the community provides that, and that to wait is not something, that's why the vote thing comes in for me, like to wait to see when that happens is the only thing that I don't agree with. But, Sunjata also said he feels good about the vote, but just with the desire to know if we can move toward a post-capitalist future. But while, in the now, definitely I hear you, it feels like necessary to, for the people right now, like to, and not having the community and support that needed. Like you said, we've been doing it, so now we have a little bit more support. I know I'm a lot lighter than I was years ago because of this community, whereas a lot of people are still in the initial stages of that and finding that and the feelings of oppression that come with that and how hard it is to create what we're trying to create when you're in that initial stage. Did I hear that right?
Yes, absolutely. And that's it. And not to say we can't do it. I think we would be the ones to really kick it off. We're the best suited. But I'm just saying, if we're doing that before we really establish what our community is, then that can be sensationalized first. And they don't know that we've been doing this for years and years and years and building this framework and doing it with what we have, where we are right now. That's the most impactful thing. I just think this is more impactful right now to kind of establish as a base framework.
The easy boy.
No,
And when I hear the base framework, I'm hearing you talking about like the skill shares, right? Collaborate, like the mutualism, which is what I also feel into when I hear Sunjata, as the base framework is the mutualism that we're creating. But I think maybe what I'm also hearing is you saying like we need the more people to create more mutualism, so that we can so the benefits can show more, and then that would be more attractive to the divestors.
Yeah.
So the way I always understood it, and the reason why I feel like I know you catching my face, and I'm like, is because I thought this was already happening. Like I see it like two tracks. The collectively sustainable track has already left the building, right? And then to bring context for anyone who's watching this later, we started CGE in 2020. Lawrence, Ashley, Kanisha, myself, and a couple other folks, this whole collective governance economy, we wrote up a whole plan. We would meet every Sunday with food. The same what we're doing right now. We started doing this back in 2020. Then that eventually morphed to something else. 87 acres, we'll jump there, right? I'm sorry, homesteading,
I was gonna say even before that.
Y'all were homesteading.
Grow interconnected.
We had Grow
So,
Grow Interconnected. We had the Grow Unschooling program. We've been organizing and collaborating since 2018.
Yeah.
And then it's had several iterations of us organizing and collaborating. So that's what Lawrence is pointing to. Like we have this experience doing this, right? And we've had iterations. We've learned from mistakes. We've taken up. Every iteration is based on something we've already learned. We've tried. So for me, that has already left, that train has already left the station. And in its current state is collectively sustainable. That train is moving. And everything that you said and Ashley said, and when you said, Mel, that's already happening in terms of the back to the basics and the ecotourism and et cetera, and the modeling of said experience is already happening, and that story can be told. Here's what I think I'm saying, and whenever you say like more important, that's throwing me off too, because in my mind it's like, why does one have to be more important than the other? Because it felt to me like when we all agreed to create this village planning is that we were going to do them simultaneously. That's the way I was.
That was my understanding too. That's what I'm saying. I don't feel like the two things have to clash at all. They're both going in the direction we want to go in general, and they both complement each other.
And that's where I would like some clarity, or I'll just say I don't understand it. Your energy feels to me like this is more important. And I'm like, I thought it was that track is moving. I'm still doing how we get free Sundays. You still doing what you're doing. Like everything's still moving. But then I'm like, village planning is coming and it's also moving. And a part of that story for everyone that we're trying to be real with, they will know. It took us 7 years to get to the point where we doing village planning and we were able to pull in some divestment. It took years of building relationships, bringing some more like-minded, like-hearted people into our space, etc. Like a lot of people have come and gone over those 7 years. Look who's remaining. Like so much stuff. Like that's a part of the story of this train. Yeah. That can be told, and it's like you don't hop onto this train unless you put in that and you got these type of relationships. For me, that's all a part of what we're going to write in the plan. Yeah. So I want to understand the more important energy. People, resources. Even if we wanted to go get land right now, do we have the people? So we have more of an explicit vantage point because we actually are working on the land, working from the land, consuming from the land. We know what it feels like, how much time it takes. And I'm saying from my vantage point as the educator of people, and we don't have enough people right now. Okay, boom. So in my mind, we don't hit start on this thing until we have enough people and money on this village train. Right. I mean, the village lane. We're not buying land. We're not, like, all those things have to come into place. And for me, that's a part of what we're building over here is building capacity in both ways. Mm-hmm. As we're writing out this plan, we're going to realize very soon, like, what people do we need? Right. That's going to come a part of it, right? And I feel like all that's going to emerge naturally as we continue to put our heads together. Yeah, and that's kind of where I'm at. I'm just saying this thing that's rolling is doing that. Absolutely. That's so it's the funnel to get people. So we're here still docked. So we're just working on this thing. This thing is rolling. So I'm like, we just need more people. Mm-hmm. The more people we unearth, the stronger this train gets, like, to take off. Agreed. So that's all I'm saying. I'm just saying. I understand that. Yeah. Do you understand what I'm saying too? No, absolutely. Yeah. Because the way I was seeing it was, no, seriously, like what you're saying in terms of the concern about we don't have enough this, enough that, I'm saying, can we write the plan so we can make it plain? So we're not saying we don't have enough people. We're saying we need this many people. Yeah, they're gonna have these roles. Yeah. And we need this much money. And we even have it down already in like a structure per like 5-acre plot. Like that's how we built it up. That's how I know the numbers in a certain degree and what kind of personnel we need. So it's kind of like for the 87 acres, that's what it was. It was literally drafted to show the prototype in real life. And that's where I learned that lesson. Mm-hmm. Man, we didn't really have the amount of people. I would have been swallowed up. Yeah. Swallowed up because I would have been the only one able to do it. Right. So I learned from that endeavor, back up, hold up, build the framework a little bit more rugged, more sturdy, collapsible, foldable, movable. Now we ready. And it's kind of like, that's where we at right now. So I definitely agree. Now, again, both and. I like the divestment model. I just think if we get a divestor, then they're going to be looking for the village. But we're not ready. That train is still it's still getting worked on. We're not ready for that yet. But if we do accept a divestor, could they fund a stewardship center concept that brings more people in, thus making this thing more capable and ready to execute? So that's like a separate, I hear that. So to me, that's like, we can talk about, do we need to build that into we may need to just build that into the business plan, or do we just need to build and having a conversation about going after divestors for that, and then going after other divestors for this, or somehow just build it. I think we can build it into the whole unbusiness plan, honestly. I think it can be built in. So that, again, when people like me in my role and other people who may take on this role are going knocking on those doors, we're like, here. And then the divestor can say, I'm interested in this part, and yes, I'll fund that. Or we can say the first X amount of dollars goes towards that, and then it starts filtering into this. I feel like that's all a part of what we're gonna be coming together to do.
Yeah.
And I feel like, so, if we're answering these questions, just to kind of bring it all home, business model economics, how will we make money? Are we on the same page in saying that, it sounds like we're on the same page in saying we're willing to continue to make, again, for me, we're only talking about village planning. Let me just say that, right? How will we make money? It sounds like we're on the same page of the divestment model for making money and raising money and sustaining. It's like the divestment model. We're also talking about, we're on the same page about, we want to move towards, we want to continue to transition from capital and exchange for energy and goods to the transition to more bartering and trade in exchange for energy and goods towards the gifts economy and time for exchange of time and goods and resources from other people. It sounds like we're on the same page on that too, right? Like that's a transition.
Yeah,
We're
for
moving
the
towards.
framework of the transition, yes.
And collectively sustainable, that train as it currently is, it is a moneymaker, and that's okay, and we're gonna keep that as a moneymaker. We wanna get funding for the stewardship centers, that's still a priority, we understand that. And in terms of the village model, we're open to trying to get divestors to fund those activities as well, while understanding that collectively sustainable is the engine for bringing in the people that's gonna help get this train from dock as well. We need money and people to get the village dock going, and we understand collectively sustainable as it currently is, as the model currently is, that is all inclusive of money, all the different exchanges, is helping to funnel in people and resources to help get this going. But ultimately, we do envision that if, I hate to say the word, I'm gonna say when we get enough money and people from divestments, because people gotta divest, and we need dollars that get divested into the dock of the village, we're good with that too, of saying that's when this goes. Does that kind of make sense? Anyone say something don't line up with that? Go ahead, y'all.
It seems like we have eco-village and collectively sustainable. I think we have to talk in it in terms of it being one thing. Are we trying to connect both of them? Like, because we're saying divestment eco-village, and we saying like collectively sustainable, then that's where we get into like the mission stuff. It just it's this friction I'm feeling.
Yeah, I think it is separate to a certain degree, because this would be an example of a village within the village, like micro solidarity.
Okay.
So what we're proposing is, after you find your community and you galvanize this community and you all exercise the community, then you go out and buy land as a community, if you so choose, right? Is that what we're saying, right?
Yeah.
So it is kind of part and parcel.
Okay.
Collectively sustainable can function just as it is right now. But if we do create a group and we're all interested in buying land and move, then now we can create the village to kind of be a prototype for what it looks like to be sustainable through this cultural norm that we're shifting.
Okay.
And that, the way I see it is Stewart, Lighthouse, Stewardship Center, Village.
Yeah.
Or let's say this, instead of hierarchy, I'll go this way.
Okay,
Yeah,
That's
because they
awesome.
all feed each other, right? And I think definitely I feel like it's connected, and I feel like when you go after this divestment money, you can give people the option, do you wanna divest in this part, or just give us money and let us use it the way we see fit? Because there's lots of organizations that you pick and choose, or they just say, take the money, do whatever you want with it. So that way we can be funding all of it, because we need way more people that understand people's mindsets are not even close to ready for what we're doing.
Right.
So we have got to work on that as we're building, we have got to be like double timing it, bringing people out of this sleep that they're in. And educating them and exposing them to just a new way of living that they probably have never even imagined. Because even with me, as aware as I am, it didn't really feel super real to me until I went to their farm.
Mhm.
And I was like, oh, this is not a fantasy. This is not a fantasy. This is real. It was tangible. I'm standing here, I'm looking at it, I'm eating the food. And it just became real on a different level where I was like, I'm doing this. I'm making this happen in my life. And so I think, yeah, it's a circle. It all feeds each other. And the more people we bring in, it will grow exponentially, because when people get that taste of that and see how much better they feel in every way outside of capitalism, in the grind and hustle, it'll grow exponentially.
Ashley, where you at? You got anything? Does this landing, is it making sense? You feel like it's all coming to coherence, or do you still have questions?
No, it sounded good to me.
Okay. Okay, I hear you, Deon, as well. Where you at with it? You feel like you got any questions for me? You feel like we clear on where we need to line up?
Yeah. I think first things is first, and getting them numbers so we can define the village. I think so we can see the divestment to village ratio. It's like first stop for me. Just like we doing all these numbers, we need to be doing that too, so we can start the crunching to make sure this concept can last, can sustain, can spread. What's the new word you like? You regenerate.
Yeah, regenerate.
Right, so we gotta make sure it can regenerate though, that's data.
So I think what I'm hearing, again, phase one, business model, economics, fundraising, again, to make it plain, the next thing we gotta do is start with the funding that you are claiming that is needed. And when I say claim, I mean you're like calling it in for the stewardship centers.
The village. What you saying?
What I'm saying is, what I think I hear you saying, in terms of us bringing it all together and we're on one track, instead of the whole 2-track model, right? The 1 track is write this in a way where it's like, because you already had the numbers for stewardship center, you already got that. Let's put that first in terms of business model. Funding for the stewardship centers is X amount of dollars, full stop. Just come up with a number, like how many stewardship centers that you would want funded.
I already know.
You know, whatever that is right now, it's like, that'll be enough of a foundation to give us the network that we need to sustain the impact that we want to make.
Yes.
That goes first here. And then after that comes, now we go, and we will write, this will sustain this many steward centers, this is what stewardship centers do, this is how it serves the mission. Then beyond that, now we're into the divestment model.
Right.
Now we're into the next phases of these elements for the village, the village element of it all.
Yeah.
So basically, we're drawing a line from where collectively sustainable it already is into the village part of it, coming into the next phases.
Right.
Because I think that, again, that's where we're gonna need to talk about, you know, everything that's gonna be needed in order to like be in legal framework, a 501c3, et cetera, blah, 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 you know, all the governance, all the onboarding things about, look, it took us 7 years of relating, and this is what we had to do, and this is the type of time and effort that got put in. That's like the onboarding conversation type stuff, right? So, and then we're firmly into village. That's how I'm thinking about it, right? So the business model we agreed is collectively sustainable as is, divestment is gonna sustain, is gonna get us going in the village. And now we just need to come to here, it's like we agree on that.
Absolutely. I have a proposal, by the way. Go from there.
And I know we're over time too, but I mean,
It's kind of off the ledge, maybe too radical for some. How do y'all think about each putting our properties in a community land trust that's gonna build its net worth and use that as an asset to go to divestors or to get like grants or small loans? Let's say if you put your property, it could be 900,000, and we could, just like other people, how they take their net worth and use it against a loan
From the trust.
Yeah, from the trust, and use that to fund the village. And to pay back that loan, we could do the collectively sustainable programs to make that money back.
And why would you think that would be needed at this stage or where we at?
I would say because if we use those properties, our properties, they could be stewardship centers. And it could go under the collectively sustainable framework. It just build a network of collectively sustainable. So that way we'll have these resources, we can use our properties as assets. Does that make sense, y'all?
Okay, so you're already like, you know, but I didn't really, I said it in a couple videos, so the next phase of the stewardship centers are to be funded not indefinitely, but for 3 years. 3 years is like you're learning how to be sustainable, right? Within those 3 years, the same framework we're doing at our farm, be sustainable, we're teaching you how to do it. At the end of the 3 years, if you do want to continue, you can have the option to put your property into a trust, a land trust. So that was the last phase of a stewardship center. You can put it in this trust because we're already seeing that that's where a lot of our battle is after you get past yourself and the next generation. You don't know what that third generation gonna do. And a lot of people are opting into giving their land to a respectable, steward, adjunct, opposed to linearly transferring it or down the line. They're willing to put it in the trust right now. So again, I feel like right now we're at that time where the temperature is right, and everybody's looking for something tangible, digestible, radical. And I think like right now we're at a prime position to kind of edify what we're talking about. So yeah, that's already in the prototype for the stewardship center. But I never thought about it in the terms of loaning, like taking money out of the trust or using it as capital.
It's using it as leverage.
Yeah, but it makes sense. No, we do. Yeah, it's like taking out equity.
Collect
Yeah,
right.
same thing, same concept, but without all the taxes and yeah.
Right.
No, absolutely. I just never thought that far, but that's definitely a part of the stewardship center because we want to root ourselves into the community, not just be like a one-time pop-off. It's like, no, this is what this space is going to be forever. It's written here in the bylaws, you know what I mean? And now you're a beneficiary.
So what I would say to that is, well, one, I don't own this property. I don't own any property right now.
Mm-hmm.
But two, I've always, well, one, I think that'll come about. Like, let's say we already have all we need, and it's like, we got all we need financially to go out and buy the land and all the resources we need financially from divestment. And it's like, oh, but what about the properties that we already currently have? Then I think it would be like, okay, let's put those into a trust so they continue to be stewardship centers even when we move on to the next step. That's what I envisioned that kind of would come in for those who own property that are going into the land, whatever that may be. But also as something to put out there, because we're gonna continue to chew on this stuff, I also would love to move forward, get out of the idea that we gotta get into debt, like leverage your current assets for like debt. When I think about divestment dollars, my thing is, that's what we don't gotta go in debt, we don't gotta get loans because we're getting these divestment dollars. And the other way that I look at the divestment dollars, y'all, you've heard me say this, and Kenisha and Ashley, y'all heard me say this. The money that's already out there that people are sitting in people's banks, that represents natural resources that have already been extracted, human labor that's already been extracted from indigenous populations, from enslaved populations, from overworked, masses populations that have been hoarded by the uber wealthy. It's already been worked for, it's already been extracted. Let's go use that, And I know how to have that conversation with those people who are sitting on that money, and some of them already feel the weight that they're sitting on that money. They know where it came from. So it's like, we don't gotta go in debt to do this. The money's already there. Our ancestors, our cousins that have preceded us, no matter their ethnic background, etc., and Mother Earth have already given enough. And there's people that are sitting and hoarding it that we need to tap into, and that's gonna be a part of my, pitch to those folks.
And if we have the land in a trust, cause my brother's working on putting my house into the trust that he's put together, we still always have that option. As long as we got our property in the trust, we always have that option. If it comes to that, we can leverage it if we need to. Because I'm just at a point now in my life, I don't, whatever I have, whatever I'm building, whatever I'm earning, is to build this.
Mhm.
I don't care about it, it's to build this. This is the real thing that we need. This is the real legacy for my kids, not money. This, what we're building, so they can have an actual real life and real future, you know, so, yeah, yeah. So, sounds good, I'm excited.
I'm crushing numbers now, man.
Yeah.
Crushing numbers.
So you'll, can you send me,
I'm gonna go to One Network.
okay,
Global One, I'm gonna go there. Since I got the framework, I'm gonna just go use theirs this week. I mean, it's already there. Grab it. We can take a generalized concept of a net worth of the 1% if you want to. And let's just play a game if they all divested. And I'm literally gonna start from that extreme. If everybody participated, what does that look like? How long can it sustain? And then we quantify from there. I'm gonna do best practices, best chances, and then quantify from there.
did you see the, did anybody see the Patagonia stuff I dropped?
Yeah, the screenshot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
did you see it?
No.
Patagonia, you know who they are? Clothing company. They have deeded, all of their, they created a trust that they put $100 million into every year for grassroots, to go to grassroots initiatives for the earth. Like they, basically all their profits go to the earth. And the way they look at that is going to the earth means any organizations, grassroots initiatives that are going towards regenerative activities and initiatives towards the earth. $100 million every single year. In addition to them taking 1% of their profit, that they've been doing that for years, since like the 90s, going to these type of organizations that get donated to. And now this trust, $100 million a year. As a company, they make billions of dollars a year. And they're just giving it all to the earth. So it's like companies like that are out there.
And just, I would like to build an investor section on the website, so that way when you, because a lot of people, that helps with credibility when they can go to your website and see, oh, okay, an investor section that you can reference and say, if you wanna learn more about how we're gonna use this money or how we've been using this money, check out our investors, look at other people that are investing, and I think that will help, you know, build credibility for us, you know, generating more funds. So all I need is content, and can just add onto the website for that.
All right, so between now and the next time we meet, what are we coming back with? What's the work? I know you said you're gonna go to one. Are we waiting for you to give that initial thing, and then you want us to just look it over? You want us to chop it? Like, what are we waiting on you at this point so you can give us the state stewardship center numbers? And
I can give you stewardship center numbers today. I already have that document drafted. I think as far as our nation, I put like X amount per major city. But yeah, we can do that, and then yeah, the numbers to kind of compare, or to not compare, but kind of see how that can work as far as the divestment model. I think those two are the main things. So.
all right, so then I'll answer these questions based on what came up, and I'll just put a little blurb here. And based on what came out of today's conversation, I'll put a blurb here. And then we can take a look at whatever Lawrence brings to us, and we can decide when it feels good, like it's time to move to this. So I would say anyone that's on phase 2, start bringing your resources and stuff together, because that'll be next. But yeah, I think that's where we are. Just Lawrence bringing whatever you bring, me creating a blurb to articulate what we agreed on here, and then we'll be ready to move right into this.
Okay.
Too easy.
You want me to follow up with you at any point during
Yes,
the week?
please, yes.
I know you got a million things that you're
Everybody gonna forget by the time I get home, man. So yeah, just a little quick text, man. That'd be helpful, very helpful for me.
All right.
Recenter myself, man.
All right, so that's our to-dos. All right, y'all. Appreciate y'all on the virtual world. I see Kenesha bounced already. Appreciate anybody that's watching the live stream.
Absolutely.
Anybody watching this later. We'll see y'all next time.
Appreciate y'all joining in, man. We'll catch y'all on the flip.